And hi, everyone. Welcome to our July marketing workshop. For those that don't know me, I'm Nicole Fewer, Vice President of Development. So I work behind the scenes with National, and I work a lot with our leaders to develop their chapters and start new ones. And I also work with all of our great speakers to bring you content and webinars each month. We had a fabulous one 2 days ago. If you didn't see it live, I really recommend you go on to our website and you can view any of our past recordings under the learning tab. It was how to make uncomfortable situations comfortable, but I don't think the title does it justice. It was incredibly well done. So check that out. But today we will talk about Jackie Pilossoph, who I'm so excited to have today because when I got divorced 12 years ago, she was the only blog that I followed. She was humorous and has been through divorce herself and is just a fabulous writer, and also has a marketing company for divorce professionals. Jackie is the creator and editor-in-chief of Divorced Girl Smiling, a website, podcast, and mobile app. Launched as a blog in 2013, Pilossoph has grown Divorced Girl Smiling into a well-known brand and community with a global following. DGS, as she calls it for short, has a dual mission to empower, connect, and inspire men and women before, during, and after divorce, and at the same time offer divorce professionals and other business owners an opportunity to grow their businesses through a vetted partnership with DGS. Pilossoph, who holds a master's degree in broadcast journalism, is a former television news reporter and a former features reporter and writer for the Chicago Tribune. Her syndicated weekly column, Love Essentially, was published in the Pioneer Press, the Chicago Tribune, and all Tribune publishing editions for 7.5 years. Pilossoph was also a Huffington Post divorce blogger for 5 years. So quite a resume. She's amazing. We love her. So Jackie, I will let you take it away.
Thank you so much, Nicole. And there are 25 people on here, and I'm seriously so flattered. I never do this, so you'll have to let me know what you think. And I'm literally going to share with you what I've learned, because I've been in this business now for about 8 years, and basically I'm self-taught. I did a ton of things in marketing that didn't work and a lot that did. And what I want to do today is show you that you can absolutely do it too. So before I get started, I just want to thank you so much for coming, and also thank you for what you do for divorced people, because the main reason I started Divorced Girl Smiling is because when I got divorced, I had no one, no resources, no one to talk to. I felt really isolated, really lonely, alone. I had no family in town. I had 2 young kids, 3 and 5. And so I really felt like I was very alone and isolated with no resources and no one to talk to. And that was why I started it. So I want to thank everybody who's on this call for what you do for divorced men and women, because it's really, really important and very special, and you're doing a great thing. All right, so I'm going to share my screen and put up my presentation. So I wanted to start out with, why is marketing so challenging for professionals? So the first thing I noted was, you didn't sign up for this. If you're a divorce attorney, you just want to be a divorce attorney. You know, if you're a divorce coach, you're thinking about your clients and you're thinking about how to help them, and you're doing what you do best. You didn't sign up for, now I have to learn Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram, and it's all intimidating. And so most professionals, I find, don't really even know where to begin. And most people also, I find, don't enjoy writing, or they just don't have time. And I shouldn't have said just writing. I'm talking about also podcasting, making videos. You know, when I started Divorced Girl Smiling, it was a blog, because that's what people did. They basically read articles online. There was no videos. There was really no Instagram yet. There was no podcasting, none of that. And so I've had to evolve with the changes. But it does come down to people are still reading online, especially people going through a divorce. They're up at 2 o'clock in the morning saying, I can't sleep. And they Google like feelings of divorce. What's going to happen to me? What's going to happen in court? What are the laws in Illinois about child support? And so our market, and I say everybody on here, is people thinking of getting divorced, people going through one, and men and women after divorce, living life as single parents. And they have a lot of worries. And so what I've learned is a lot about my audience over the last 8 years. And so that's how I can sit here and say, here's what they're Googling, because I know, because I get reports and I feel it and I talk to them because they're constantly messaging me or Facebook messaging me, whatever. So getting back to this, so people don't like to write. They just don't have time for it. Or if you're an attorney, you're writing all the time. You're writing briefs and, legal documents. And so you really don't have time to write blogs. And then also, as I said, marketing and social media and all these different things can feel very intimidating. And what I want everybody to know here is that you can definitely do this. They make it so easy for you to set up these accounts and do the social media. I was extremely intimidated by technology, and now I'm like, bring it on. So that's why those are some concerns. Why is marketing important? Obviously, you want to grow your business or grow your practice, get new clients, but also you want to be complimenting word of mouth. So what I mean by that is if somebody gives you a referral, the person who got your name from the girl they work out with at the gym, they want to find you. So like they'll say, oh, call Sally Smith. She's the best real estate agent. I loved her. She did a great job with me. So then they're going to go home and Google Sally Smith. And wouldn't it be nice if you had this nice website with articles that you've written, podcasts that you've done, so they can actually see you and almost like they're meeting you. And so that's why being online and having a presence is really important. Number 3 of why marketing is important is just gaining exposure. So when anyone Googles you, articles, podcasts, videos, things come up so that you look like you're a big deal. And by the way, I'm not saying no one on here's a big deal. You're all a big deal, but you really want to make sure people know that. You want to make sure that people know that you are established, that you have credibility. And then number 4, if you're not familiar with Google rankings, Google is everything. At least it is in my business. So Google rewards people who get more hits on their site. So they make the rich get richer, basically. And so what you want to do is have all these things on there so that Google will rank you better when somebody searches Phoenix divorce attorney. And they reward people who post a lot of things. It's much more complicated than that, but that's the sort of broad overview, high level. So why am I giving this presentation? How did I end up in the divorce business? So first of all, I got divorced when I was 41. My kids were 3 and 5. I lived in where I live now. Not the same house, but with knowing no one, not knowing one divorced person, not having any family here. And it was awful. And I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And I hold a master's degree in journalism from Boston University. And so what happens when a writer gets divorced? Started flowing out like a water faucet and I couldn't turn it off. So I'm also a former news reporter. And over the years, as I started writing the Chicago Tribune and the Pioneer Press got interested, and we started talking, and they gave me a column, but they didn't want it totally focused on divorce. They said, you can talk about divorce, but let's make it all about love. So it was called Love Essentially. And then, of course, the water faucet couldn't stop there. And I was writing books, and I couldn't write enough. It was the only thing that made me feel calm and like everything was going to be okay and validated. There's a million reasons to write. And so somebody told me, if you want to sell books, you have to start a blog. So I started Divorce Girl Smiling for that purpose. And what happened is it took on a life of its own. I quickly realized I had something extremely relatable to people, and it turned into a business over the years. In fact, I just quit my full-time job to do Divorce Girl Smiling full-time as of like a month ago. So that's my credibility. But like I said in the beginning of this presentation, I actually learned all of this through trial and error. Now, I did have some experts. I had SEO, 3 different SEO experts that I paid to teach me how to do SEO. And my website designer has taught me a lot. And I try to learn as much technology as possible. But I'm not saying to everyone here that you should do that. I'm just saying, for me, if I'm having my business, that's what I have to do. But what I'm saying to everybody here is, learn a little bit of technology, a little bit you can do. And I promise you, you can do a lot more than you think. So the first tip I have in promoting and selling yourself is to know your brand and know who your client is. So I'm going to give you an example. For me, Divorce Girl Smiling is like going to Starbucks with your girlfriend and talking about your divorce and your love life. I am somebody's friend. I don't claim to be a therapist or an expert. I know exactly who I am. I'm a really good communicator. I'm a good writer. And I went through it, and I'm extremely vulnerable, authentic, and I tell it like it is. And I'm not afraid to make fun of myself and tell people what I did wrong. And I also enjoy telling people what I did right and say, you know, here's what I did right. Here's what I did wrong. So that is my brand. Why I think I've been successful is I don't try to tell people I'm a know-it-all. Here's what you should be doing. I basically make fun of myself and say, here's what you shouldn't be doing. So what is your brand? So I think everybody should take like a 1-minute break and literally write it down. What I would suggest, I don't know if I did this in a slide, but just take a second. I'm just going to take like a 30-second break and write down who your ideal client is and what you're offering that sets you apart from someone else. Like, what are you selling? What's good about you? If you're a divorce attorney, are you specialized in litigation? Are you the litigator who, when people cannot go to mediation and they absolutely need to battle it out in court, are you the guy or the girl? Or are you a all collaborative process? You know, you love the collaborative process. Who's your client? Is it a guy? You know, there's a guy here in Chicago. His name is Jeffrey Leving, and he runs a million commercials where he's for the divorced dad. He's going to help you get custody of your kids. He's going to help you get fair things. He's been doing this for like 30 years. And it is, see how his name came to me in 2 seconds, because he's the guy you want if you're a divorced dad whose wife is trying to take your kids all the time. So what you have to ask yourself is, who are you? Who's your client? What do you want to be known for? And that, you're not set in stone. You can change that, but that is how you brand yourself and how you start with social media. Okay, so I'm going to move on, but just think about that. All right, 6 ways for divorce professionals to market your practice. So the first one is a good website. That's standard, that's a given, and it needs to be updated constantly. What turns people off when they go to, let's say somebody recommends you and then they go to Sally Smith's website and it looks like it's from 2004. That really turns people off. Websites are not expensive. My website guy, I absolutely adore him. I want him to move in with me. And basically, I would say for me, my website is extremely complicated and very expensive to run. But for you, I would say anyone on this call could get a good website made for under $1,000, maybe even less. And you also need to brand yourself with a logo. So you need to get a graphic designer. But a lot of that your website designer can help you with, or there's people like sites online, just look up graphic design. You don't have to spend, like, do you guys see my Divorced Girl Smiling logo here? That was like $1,500. I don't think you have to spend $1,500 on your logo, but for me, it was very important to have like a very expensive person do it. Okay, so that's just standard because a good website is like your online business card, and it can make you seem really credible and like you're really you care enough to have a good updated site. Or on the other end, it could make you look kind of lazy, like you don't care, and that's not a good thing. So that's number one. Number two is writing. So we talked about this earlier. So a lot of people do not like to write or don't have time to write. So you either should hire somebody to write for you, although I'm not a fan of these canned articles that are just, you can tell they were written by someone else. That's a big turnoff to me. But if you say to yourself, I'm going to spend 20 minutes every week, that's all it really takes to write an article. Well, let's call it 30 minutes. And just, it takes discipline, and it just takes drive, but it will pay off if you have a few articles. And just say, I'm going to publish a new blog every month, or set goals for yourself. I'm going to do it every 2 weeks. Next thing is, it really is important to learn SEO, because if you're writing these articles and you don't know how to put them into you don't know how to post them on your website with keywords, then you're going to end up, no one's going to read them because Google's not going to show them. SEO will take you maybe an hour or two to learn, and it's not that complicated. Like I said, I learned it. I know a lot more of it advanced. But it really isn't super advanced, and it's kind of fun.
Jackie, I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second. We have someone in the chat asking if you could explain what SEO is.
Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. SEO is search engine optimization, and it's a tool that you use to get Google. So your keywords might be sell my home after divorce, Phoenix. Somebody might Google sell my home after divorce, Phoenix. So you would want to write an article that had stuff that says similar to like, are you thinking of selling your home after your divorce, and do you live in the Phoenix area? So see where I'm going with this? Again, this is really high level, and SEO is extremely intricate, lots of details. But like I said, not that hard to learn. And is everybody here on the call familiar with WordPress? Are people, I can only see 5 people. So hold on, let me look. I don't know. Does everybody, do you know what WordPress is? Nicole, or people shaking their heads?
Put your thumbs up. I can see a lot of people if you know it. Okay, not many people, so why don't you explain what that is?
Okay, so WordPress is, if you have a website, that's one place you can build your website on. It's the most common, that's what most people use. It's free. And that's where you can put in these SEO, search engine optimization. So you copy and paste your article into WordPress, and then you put in all these keywords. Now, I think what I'm going to get into in a little bit is that you can pay people to do this. And I can talk about what you can pay people to do and what you can do yourself. So the writing, I would always recommend that you do that yourself, honestly. People who work with me, and I'll get to that at the end because I don't want this to be a sales pitch like, oh, hire me, but you can hire me. And I help people come up with ideas that I know are good search engine optimization things people are looking at. And I give people ideas on what they can write about. And then my clients just send me kind of like some ideas, their thoughts that they write down. And then I turn it into an article, send it back, say like, hey, why don't you edit this? And then they edit it, send it back to me. And so it makes it much easier. So what I'm saying is, if you're going to hire somebody, do some of it yourself and then hire somebody to do the SEO, the posting. But I would say try to write as much of the article yourself as much as you can, because people know, they can tell if a lawyer really wrote it or if they had some intern writing it for them. You can really tell the difference. And then the last thing about writing is to create Canva posts. So does everyone here know what Canva is? It's like my new best friend. It's my favorite thing to do. It literally takes 3 minutes a day. And you go to canva.com and you can create these little graphics. It's so easy and fun to use. And you can put a quote in there. Like if you're a divorce attorney, you can say, here are 5, no, that's too long. Say something like, my clients who go through mediation find that after the divorce, they're so much happier and everybody sticks to the agreement. And then you just put your name and your website, maybe your picture. It's really fun and very easy, and it doesn't take a lot of time. Number 3, media appearances. So I once heard from a quote from Mark Cuban that said, media appearances do not yield business. He was not a fan that said, if you get on the Today Show and comment about divorce, you're going to get a ton of new clients. And actually, that is sort of true and not true, because I was on the Megyn Kelly show right before her show ended. And that day, my social media was so big that my site shut down because so many people went to my site. So I don't know if I agree with Mark Cuban, but I'm not trying to get business, so that's just, I think what media appearances do is they drive people to your site and to your social media channels. If you do want media appearances, you can hire a PR firm to get you on shows. It's extremely expensive. Although if you're in the Chicago area, I have a friend who does it locally and it's much cheaper. So I have to believe that whatever city you're in, there's somebody around who's doing PR who will call the local stations for you. And some good ideas to get into on a show, for example, is around Christmas time. I always email all the TV stations and I'll say, I would love to be a guest on your show about handling stress about being newly divorced at Christmas or Hanukkah and New Year's and the holidays. And I always get on shows that way. So try to time your appearance around a holiday. So, or you could just do a generic one, like any topic, like me, going back to work after divorce. What if you were a stay-at-home mom and now you have to go back to work? That's a topic that can be shown at any time. Also try to get on other people's podcasts. So keep in mind that both TV stations and podcasts are always looking for guests because they have to fill content on their shows. So it's not like they're doing you this huge favor. You're doing them a favor too, because they need to fill the space. And then the last thing I was going to suggest is start a YouTube channel and create videos. And if you guys want to see any of my stuff, just go to divorcegirlsmiling.com. You'll see my podcast, my YouTube channel, media appearances, and obviously articles. Okay, moving on to number 4. Social media is a must. And this is what a lot of people get intimidated by. But for me, I think the biggies are Twitter. I think if you're going to start out with one social media channel, Instagram, I would say is number 1. Facebook is number 2. Instagram, everyone thinks it's for like young kids, but the average Instagram user is a woman in her 40s. So Instagram is a huge must. And if you will allow yourself to take a few minutes, I know it's really hard to find time, but if you learn it, you'll be really glad you did. So the big social media are Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Pinterest, believe it or not. I use it all the time and I get a lot of hits from Pinterest. And then try to get tagged as much as possible. What does that mean? So if you're tagged, it will lead people back to your social media channel. So if you are on somebody's podcast, so try to be tagged in all the posts. All right, moving on to number 5, because I feel like I'm kind of running out of time, but I think I'm almost done. So launch a newsletter. So is everybody here familiar with Constant Contact and these, you know, how you're sitting at your desk and you get all these newsletters from people. So people do read them, but even if they don't, it's subconsciously putting yourself in someone's mind so that they're going to see your brand over and over again. And even if they don't read your newsletter, when they know someone getting divorced, they're going to think of you. So nothing bad can happen from a newsletter. I have a newsletter. It's probably the thing in my week that takes the longest because I'm trying to figure out how to get people to read it and put all of my advertisers in it and content and, you know, everything. But you don't have to spend that much time on it. And once you set up a Constant Contact and you have one newsletter, you can basically use the same template and then just take out one article and drop in another. It's extremely easy. And then you have everybody's email addresses and you can do things like, you know, happy holidays and just send out letters. And again, keep yourself top of mind with people. Number 6, this is my favorite way for people to grow their practices. Network with other professionals, go to events or host your own event at your office. If you host an event at your office, that is really impactful because people will have been to your office and they will remember you and you'll be top of mind because they went to your office. So it's pretty hard to forget somebody who you went to their office. And then I put down join organizations like the NADP. So the contacts that you're making here are great. Stay in touch with people. One thing that I see people do that is a huge mistake, this is divorce professionals. What they'll do is they'll meet somebody one time and then they never follow up with them again. So let's say a real estate agent who specializes in divorce, CDRE, meets with a divorce attorney. And then the two of them have a meeting over Zoom and everything's great. And then they never talk again. So one thing I learned from my other job, I was in a sales job for almost 6 years, is that's not good enough. Once you meet somebody, follow up, keep a list of all the people that you want to get business from. Call them your referral sources. And then, like when it gets to be, let's say, Easter or Passover, drop them a line. Just say, hey, wanted to say happy Easter. Please keep me in mind if you have any clients. Hope everything's great with you. And even if they don't respond back to you, don't be hurt. like a lot of people didn't respond back to me in my old job, but they would give me business because I was top of mind with them, because they'd be like, oh, wait, what's that girl's name who sends me the emails? And it really does work. One-on-one meetings are a must. And then also ask other professionals to make warm introductions to you, for you and other people. So a warm introduction is different. Like if I send an email to Nicole, hi, Nicole, my name is Jackie Pilossoph, and I'm the creator of Divorce Girl Smiling. I'd love to talk with you about getting to know more about the NADP. Well, that's a lot different. Nicole's going to be more receptive if one of you guys sends an email that says, hey, Nicole, I want you to meet Jackie Pilossoph. She's the creator of Divorce Girl Smiling. And then right away, the person will be like, oh, great, it's from Nicole. Sure, I'll meet Jackie. Big, big difference. But you can't get warm intros unless you ask for them. So don't be afraid to ask, and then offer the person you're asking for the warm intros, offer to make intros from the people that you know for that person. So it's not like you're asking for a favor, you're doing something in response to that as well. So why isn't this letting me? Okay. And then I was just put in here what you need to do. And Nicole, I'm fine with you sending my presentation out to everybody. If you want to look at my presentation and then say, okay, what do I want to learn myself? What do I want to take time to learn myself? And what do I want to pay for? And what can I pay for? And you can definitely have a mix where you're doing 50% of the work and paying somebody to do 50% or 20-80 or 80-20, whatever you want. And how to determine what you're going to do yourself and what you're willing to pay someone else to do is, what do you have fun doing? What do you enjoy at? What do you enjoy doing? What are you good at? And what do you have time to do? So ask yourself those questions, and then you can determine, do I want to hire? Like, I know this woman who does Facebook only for people. I can't even believe she's so swamped with business, and people are paying her $500 a month just to do their Facebook. So that might not be for you, or you might email me after this and say, can I have her number? So it's just what you feel comfortable doing and what you really want to do. But my point is, do something. And here's my sales pitch. No, I love giving this presentation, and I just want to throw it out there that if you do want to work with me, I do all of these things for people. I help them write articles. I help them come up with topics. I let them be a guest on my podcast every couple of months. You get a listing on my site, you get ads, you get a mobile app. I have a mobile app. So when you get off the phone, maybe download the Divorce Girl Smiling mobile app. And I give you a listing on that. I include you in my weekly newsletter. I give you backlinks to my website, and basically what that means is people click on something that I wrote and it leads them to your site. And that's very good for you SEO wise. And then also just to get people to your site. I do Canva ads for people, social media blasts, ads on my newsletter. Did I already say that? And then just ads placed within my articles. So I'm happy to help if you are interested. And the last thing I'm going to leave you with is that marketing doesn't have to be a chore. Like, once you learn how to do it, it really is fun. And it's a good break from your daily routine. So if you're a divorce coach and you're spending 8 hours of your day with client 1 at 9, client 2 at 10, client 3 at 11, maybe find time every day to take a little break and do social media and do a little writing. And I think you might really find that it's a good mix, and it's just fun. You know, even if you say, I'm going to take 15 minutes a day to dedicate it to my social media. And I wrote, everyone's doing it. How hard can it be? It really isn't hard. It just seems like it's hard and that it takes a lot of time. But like anything else, once you get into the routine of it, it is extremely fun, easy, and it will become just part of your daily routine. So that's the end of my show. And I can take any questions if you guys have any.
Amazing, Jackie. Wow, a lot of great tips and information. And we do have some questions. The first one was from Sally. Where is the best place to learn about SEO?
All right. So I actually have a name, and I can't remember the name of his company, but he offers like lessons to people. You can pay him. So I would Google Bruce Jones SEO teacher and see what comes up. Let me know if you need me to get you in touch with him personally, but please mention my name. He's a really nice guy, and it's not expensive. It's really not expensive. I think he charges like $50 an hour to teach you or something, and you only need a few hours. And I definitely have, I've worked on and off with Bruce for years. He taught me a lot. He's really a good guy and loves SEO. And also he could do it for you. So that's or you could just Google SEO instruction, but that's my contact if you wanted something more personal.
Perfect. Awesome. Another question is, do you suggest posting all podcasts and videos on your social media, also on your website? Will too much on your website make it cluttered?
Well, it depends on the design, but I don't think it can ever be enough. Like if anything, if someone said, Jackie, what was your most successful thing that you've started for Divorced Girl Smiling? It would be the podcast. People cannot get enough of them. And anyone who started a podcast in the last couple of years, you don't even have to be that great of a host. And if you have a good topic, people are craving information. They're walking around, they're going about their daily routine, they're taking walks, all while listening to podcasts, working out. So my podcast has already gotten 35,000 downloads in, I would say, a year and a half. And I post every week religiously. So that's another key to podcasting. If you're going to have a podcast and people start following you, they expect you to publish it on a certain day. Like my podcast comes out every Sunday. Now I record it whenever I have a chance, and then I publish them every week on Sunday, and then I put it on social media on Monday. So people who follow me, which is a few hundred, they are expecting me to post it on Sunday. Does that make sense? And I don't think a website would be too cluttered with a lot of podcasts, but it has to be designed really well. Like maybe have a page that just has podcasts on it. Don't put the podcast like all over the site.
Organize it. Great. And of course, Ira has a great question, because I think this is the question, most people want to know. Okay, you create a podcast, but how do you market it so that people know that it exists? What's the best way to do it?
Social media. So every time I post a podcast, what I will do is put a link on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram. I think though I hit them all, but social media is the best way to get your podcast out there. And you can also pay for some social media sites, and it's not expensive to boost it. So they'll advertise it for you.
Oh, what's an example of something like that?
So you know how you can go to Facebook and it says boost your post, and then you can say how much you want to spend. So you can spend like $10, and then they'll show you that it was seen by 400 people or whatever. It all depends on how much you're willing to pay. And do you want that spread out over a week, or do you want it all in one day? So there's all different options. And then I actually, shout out for my clients anything they do. And that's, I think, why I'm in business, because I have such a large following on these social media channels that if somebody, like my clients, send me their podcast and then I blast it out on my sites, and now you're getting tens of thousands of hits instead of just your own.
Very interesting. Great. More questions for Jackie? Well, you do have a comment that says it was very clear and helpful presentation. It
Aw,
certainly
thank
was.
you. Thanks for listening.
Amazing. Really, really great. Any last questions before we wrap up? You can unmute yourself or raise your hand.
So I was just going to say the last thing is everyone who was on this call, please friend me on all social media channels and I'll friend you back. It's very good exposure for you. I would love to hear from you, and it would be, you know, help you get more exposure.
Great. Irene, did you raise your hand? You're muted. I don't know if you said yes or no.
Sorry,
No problem.
I just wanted to ask, I find that sometimes all of these newsletters that come regularly, you know, we're all so busy that it almost sometimes gets annoying. And I'm always between these two things. Everybody like you says, you know, you need to do it. You need to do it regularly. You need to do it a lot for the SEO and for everything else. But it's annoying. Don't
Okay,
people
so
get annoyed?
I have two things to say to that, because you are right. The first one is that's why they have an unsubscribe button. If you don't want somebody's newsletter anymore, you can unsubscribe. And so you're giving somebody the choice. And the second thing is everyone on this call is in the divorce business, and people getting divorced are craving information. So if any industry would appreciate a newsletter, it would be the divorce industry, because they really want information and they're more likely to read your newsletter versus if you were, you know, a restaurant sending a newsletter. Well, actually, if they're putting like food specials and things like that, people might look. But, you know, if out of any industry, if you send out a newsletter, make sure that you have this mindset that you're doing this for the person. Sure, you would love to get the business, but you're offering free content. You're helping somebody. And if they don't want it, they have every right to unsubscribe.
Thank you very much, Jackie.
That's great. And Macy's asking, how can we become a trusted partner with you, Jackie?
Email me and we'll set up a time to talk.
Fabulous. Do you want to put your email address in the chat?
Sure.
When everybody leaves, as I'm sure you know, the chat gets saved, but to your computer, but go ahead and write it down so you can contact Jackie. Any last questions? So it's jpilossoph@gmail.com.
I'm gonna put my cell phone number on.
Oh,
here.
you're awesome. And put your website as well. Okay, this was really, really awesome. So if you think of anything after and you're like, oh, I should have asked this, I'm sure Jackie will take your questions by email.
Yeah, you guys feel free to email me for sure.
Okay, thank you so much, Jackie. This was really awesome.